There is a kind of strength people praise that almost no one really wants to earn. It's the strength that comes from being the one who had no choice, the child who adjusted to chaos, the partner who held everything while the other fell apart or disappeared, the woman who learned to function with a broken heart and a full schedule. People look at you now and say, "You're so strong. I don't know how you do it." They mean it as a compliment. Sometimes you even take pride in it. But there are nights when you wish you didn't have to be this strong. Nights when you realize that your strength didn't come from gym reps or motivational quotes. It came from survival. Carl Jung would say that this kind of strength is not just a personality trait. It's a pattern your psyche built to protect your deepest self. You became strong the hard way, and whether you see it or not, it changed you forever. Before we go deeper, pause with me for a moment. If you know what it feels like to be the strong one in rooms where you were actually hurting, if you've ever smiled while your chest felt like it was collapsing, type the word strong in the comments. Just that one word. You don't have to tell your whole story. You're simply acknowledging to your own soul, "I became strong in ways that cost me something. I see that now." And if messages like this tend to find you right when you're quietly struggling, take a moment to like this video and subscribe to the channel so these reminders don't get lost the next time your strength feels more like loneliness than power. At the end of this video, there'll be a playlist on the end screen. Save it, and when you're about to fall asleep tonight, let it play softly in the background. Your body will rest, but your subconscious will keep listening, keep healing, keep softening the parts of you that only know how to survive. Now, let's talk about 5 signs you became strong the hard way, and how that strength has shaped you more deeply than you realize. 1. You learn to carry what no one else was willing to hold. When you grow up or live in environments where other people drop responsibility, someone has to pick it up. Often that someone was you. Maybe you were the child who read the room before you could even read your own emotions. You knew when the atmosphere shifted. You sensed when a parent was about to explode, disappear, or collapse. You learned how to tiptoe, soothe, distract, fix, anticipate. You were mature for your age. You were so responsible. That was the praise. The reality was, you were doing emotional labor far beyond your years. Or maybe, later in life, you became the partner who always held everything. You remembered the dates, you held the emotional temperature, you were the calm one, the organized one, the one who stepped in when they dropped the ball. Again, when things went wrong, people looked at you. You'll figure it out. You always do. Jung would say that a complex formed in you, a pattern that says, if I don't hold it, it will all fall apart. If I don't be strong, no one will be. Strength became fused with identity. You didn't just do strong things. You became the strong one. The cost? You stopped expecting to be held. You stopped expecting to be understood without over-explaining. You normalized a level of emotional weight that would crush most people. That changed you. Even now, when a crisis happens, your body snaps into position before your mind can even process. You go into logistics, solution, calm mode. You might break later, in private, but in the moment, you move. And because you've carried so much for so long, you're good at it. That's the cruel paradox. The world benefits from the strength you built in unfair conditions. But that strength came from years of not being allowed to be soft, needy, or held yourself. If you recognize that, if you know you became strong because you had to be the adult, the anchor, the solid one, while others dropped everything, that's the first sign. You didn't just become strong, you became structural, and your soul has been paying the price in quiet ways ever since. 2. You trust your own resilience more than you trust other people's consistency. When you've been let down enough times, your psyche quietly rearranges its trust. You stop trusting that people will stay. You stop trusting that someone will really show up once the honeymoon phase of love, of friendship, of opportunity wears off. You stop trusting that words mean what they say. Instead, you begin to trust something else, your ability to survive disappointment. Consciously or unconsciously, you begin to think, I don't trust that they won't hurt me, but I trust that I'll recover when they do. That's an incredible resilience. But it comes with a side effect. You rarely relax into anyone. You might open up, but you're watching. You might fall in love, but you're bracing. You might have friends, but there's always a part of you slightly turned away, holding onto your own hand, just in case. Jung would say that when external trust is repeatedly broken, the psyche pulls trust inward. The self, your deeper core, comes to believe people are temporary. I am the only permanent. On one level, this is powerful. You know how to get back up. You know how to rebuild. You know how to survive loss without completely disintegrating. But on another level, it can make true intimacy terrifying. Because to really let someone in, you would have to accept a possibility that your nervous system doesn't fully believe in, that there could be a human being who doesn't leave when things get hard. So what happens instead? You play it safe. You pick people you can manage. You hold back the most tender parts of yourself. You stay half in, half out, close enough not to be alone, but far enough not to be destroyed if they go. That's what strong the hard way looks like from the inside. You're used to being your own net. If this resonates, that you trust your capacity to recover more than you trust anyone's capacity to stay, that's the second sign. Your strength and your guardedness grew up together. If this is already landing somewhere deep in your chest, if you can feel yourself in these patterns of hyper-responsibility and cautious trust, take a breath with me. You're not weird for being like this. You're not broken. You adapted. If this is speaking to you, take a second to like this video and subscribe if you haven't yet, so you have somewhere to come back to on the days your own strength feels like a prison instead of protection. And remember, at the end of this video, that playlist on the end screen is there for a reason. When your mind is tired, but your heart is still processing, let those messages play while you sleep. Your body will rest, but your subconscious will keep integrating, keep unlearning the idea that you have to do everything alone. 3. You confuse emotional numbness with I'm fine. When you survive enough emotional storms, sometimes your psyche decides the safest thing to do is turn down the volume. There was a time when you felt everything. You were wide open, you loved with your whole chest, you were easily moved, easily hurt, easily thrilled. Then things happened. People took advantage of your openness. You were shamed for having needs. You were told you were too emotional, too much, too sensitive. So you built a dam. You didn't stop feeling altogether. You can't. You're human. But you started storing things. You translated heartbreak into it is what it is. You turned disappointment into dark humor. You numbed out instead of melting down. On the surface, you became chill, unbothered, low drama. Inside, Jung would say, your shadow was filling up. All the feelings that didn't feel safe to express got pushed into the unconscious. You became strong the hard way by teaching yourself not to need emotional rescue. The cost? You stopped asking for it at all. Even now, when something really hurts, you might go quiet instead of reaching out. You say, I'm okay, I just need to sleep. When really, you need someone to sit with you while you cry. You tell yourself, this doesn't matter, when your body is absolutely telling you that it does. Over time, numb becomes familiar. You mistake, I don't feel much for, I'm coping well. But your body knows the difference. It shows up as fatigue, stomach issues, tension, random aches, brain fog, because Jung would remind you, what you don't make conscious lives itself out in other ways. Women who became strong the hard way often carry a quiet library of uncried tears. They're the women who say, I haven't cried in years, not as a flex, but as a fact that even they don't fully understand. Your strength changed you. You learned to function while feeling half present. If you recognize yourself in that, if you know that part of your strength came from shutting down and powering through, that's the third sign. A part of you went numb so the rest of you could survive. Now your next chapter will ask that numb part to thaw, slowly, gently, not all at once, but enough that you can feel your own life again. 4. You feel guilty when you're not the one holding everything together. Here's one of the clearest signs you became strong the hard way. Rest doesn't feel natural. It feels wrong. You sit down and your mind starts scanning. Did I forget something? Is someone mad at me? Am I falling behind? Am I being lazy? If someone else steps up, if they offer to help, if they take over for a bit instead of fully receiving it, you feel uncomfortable. You over-explain. You rush to make it up to them. You keep one eye open, waiting for the moment they decide you're too much. Why? Because somewhere along the way, you internalized a brutal equation. I am lovable when I'm useful. I am safe when I'm needed. Jung would say that your persona, the image you learn to present to the world, is built around being the capable one. So when you're not performing that role, your ego panics. Who am I if I'm not fixing, helping, organizing, being strong? The idea of being the one who needs feels foreign, even shameful, so you keep moving. When you're sick, you push. When you're heartbroken, you power through. When you're exhausted, you joke about it and keep going. People praise you for it. You're unstoppable. You never complain. You're such a rock. They don't see the way your nervous system is never really off duty. Even when you rest, you're on call. Even when you smile, you're braced. Strength, earned the hard way, changed your default setting. Rest now feels like a luxury you have to earn instead of a basic human need. If you feel actual guilt when you try to relax, if you feel like you owe the world a constant performance of competence, that's the 4th sign. Your strength came from over-functioning, and now your soul is tired. So tired. If this is hitting a nerve, if you can feel the weight of always being on, always being strong, always being the one who doesn't fall apart, take a second to let yourself be seen here. Tap like if this is speaking to you. Make sure you're subscribed so you have somewhere to come when you need to feel understood. And if you haven't yet, type strong in the comments, not as a badge of honor for suffering, but as a gentle recognition. I've held a lot, maybe more than anyone knows. Later tonight, when your body finally slows down and the old guilt about resting creeps in, remember that playlist at the end. Instead of scrolling yourself into numbness, let those messages run softly as you drift off. Your body will rest, and your subconscious will slowly start to learn that you are allowed to relax, even when you're not holding the entire world up. 5. You love deeply, but you rarely let your full softness be seen. Here's the thing about women who became strong the hard way. They usually have enormous hearts. They didn't become strong because they didn't care. They became strong because they cared so much, and the world didn't meet them with the same care in return. So now your love is guarded. You do kind things quietly. You show up for people without making a big deal of it. You notice who is in pain in the room before anyone else does. You feel everything. But you don't always let people see how much you care. You joke instead of saying, "I miss you." You say, "No worries," when actually your feelings were hurt. You default to, "It's fine, don't worry about me," even when you are absolutely not fine. Jung would call this a defense around your anima, the inner feminine, the feeling soul. Your tenderness has been bruised, so you wrapped it in armor. When someone gets close, they sense your strength first. They see capable, grounded, composed. They might even see a kind of calm they wish they had. What they don't see, unless they're really paying attention, is the softness underneath. The part of you that still wants to lean on someone's shoulder. The part of you that wishes you could be held without having to earn it. The part of you that longs to be fully known, not just as the strong one, but as the whole, complicated, feeling being you are. Your strength changed you in a way that the world often misreads. They mistake your independence for not needing anyone. But the truth is, you still need, you still want, you still ache. You just don't always know where it's safe to bring that softness, so a lot of it stays inside you. turned inward, becoming deep empathy and deep loneliness at the same time. If you know you love deeply but struggle to let yourself be fully seen in that love, if you keep the most tender parts of you in hiding, that's the fifth sign. You became strong the hard way, and that strength has been protecting a softness that never died. It just went underground. If you're still here, I want to speak directly to you. You, the woman who became strong because someone had to be. You, the one who held your own world together when it was falling apart. You, the one who learned how to survive without being shown how to be held. Carl Jung would not look at you and say, "Why are you like this?" He would look at you and see a psyche that adapted brilliantly to pain. He would see the child who read the room to stay safe, the partner who overfunctioned to keep love from dissolving, the adult who numbed just enough to keep going when it all felt like too much. Your strength is not a flaw. It is evidence that you refused to die in places that tried to kill your spirit. But he would also gently remind you, a life built only on survival strength is incomplete. The goal is not to become weaker. The goal is to let your strength include your softness, not erase it. To be so whole that you can carry weight and ask for help, hold others and be held, be resilient and admit when you're tired, be capable and be human. You're allowed to keep the parts of your strength that came from truth, your courage, your resilience, your determination, and slowly let go of the parts that came from fear, the self-abandonment, the numbness, the secrecy around your pain. If some part of you, even if it's quiet and hidden, is whispering, "I don't want to only be strong the hard way anymore. I want to be strong and soft, strong and held, strong and honest," type "strong" in the comments if you haven't already, not as a slogan, as a promise that you will not keep sacrificing your softness just to prove your strength. And if this message sat with you in a way you didn't even know you needed, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and tap the notification bell so you don't miss the next time your soul comes looking for words like these. When you're about to sleep tonight, that's usually when the hard way strength tightens its grip. You lie there, replaying everything you still have to do, every role you still have to play, every person depending on you. There's a part of you that would love to cry, to soften, to say, "I'm tired," but the old programming kicks in. Be strong. Don't fall apart. No one will catch you. Instead of letting those old beliefs tuck you in tonight, give your subconscious something gentler to fall asleep to. The playlist is at the end of this video. It will pop up on the end screen. Hit play on that playlist and let it run softly in the background as you drift off. Your body will rest, but your subconscious will keep listening, keep loosening its grip on survival-only strength. Keep learning that you are allowed to be held, allowed to receive, allowed to be fully human, not just endlessly strong. Save the playlist, fall asleep with it, and let these messages sink from your mind into your soul until one day someone says, "You're so strong," and you smile because they have no idea how much softer, truer, and freer your strength has quietly become.